And we are finished setting up. With our next run here, we do have RIVE by Omnigamer. And as we're about to get this started, we also want to introduce, we have one of the developers here for RIVE. We'd like to introduce him as well.
Okay. Hi. Is this thing on?
Just a moment, please. Are we all good now?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Can you... Hello, Colin. Can you hear us?
Good. Ah, yes, yes. There are a lot of enthusiastic people there.
Oh, yeah. Especially for this late at night. It's great. All right. So, thank you for joining us tonight, Colin.
Yep.
So, for everybody watching on the stream, I have with me remotely a special guest, Colin from Two Tribes Games, who's one of the primary developers for this game. And my whole point in bringing you on here is to allow you to talk about your experiences developing the game, some of the insights and challenges and everything else that you overcome, as well as to capture some of your own reactions to some of the things I might be doing that you might not expect. So feel free to handle it however you'd like as I'm going through. Okay,
good, good. I'm also going to try and get Niels on board. Is it still possible to add another guy?
Possible, but we won't be able to set that up right away.
Okay, I'll just pass on his Skype details.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's really fun. So you're Omnigamer, right?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. And you got some weird tricks.
Well, and then some. This is Games Done Quick Express at TwitchCon, and we're going to be going through speedrun mode of RIVE, and that's going to be the whole campaign. So I'm going to get started with that in just a moment, and then you'll be able to introduce what you worked on in the game and some of the other fun things. So we're just going to get started. So if we can get ready on timer, all right? So 3, 2, 1, and go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So one thing I do want to mention is that there is specifically a speedrun mode in this game, and that's something that I'm very glad that you guys added. I think without some of the prompting there, I probably wouldn't have picked up the game for speedrunning myself. But it was a lot of fun when I first played it and got to the very last mission and was like, you know what, I can go through this, and just gave it a try. And I started to notice some things and really enjoy it. So from there, I picked it up and worked on a full game. But as you can tell, first level so far, not a whole lot going on. It's an auto-scroller, but it's introducing you to something that's very important throughout. Something that'll be very important throughout, and that's controlling yourself in zero-gravity modes. It's not the primary mode of movement, but we'll get there.
Nice. So, it's nice to see you play the game.
Yep.
I haven't seen anyone play it for maybe a year now.
Oh well, I've been playing it pretty consistently lately, and just trying to stay up in shape for this event in particular. But there's a got it. Okay. There's a whole lot of enemies right there. You manipulate them with a short jump so that they go underneath you, and that allows you to get through without getting completely obliterated. One thing I do want to mention is that when the game initially launched, there was one mode of difficulty. There was hard mode. Yeah. Later on, you guys added normal. There were some folks who might have thought that hard was a little too unforgiving. I personally thought it was just right.
Yeah, the thing is, we when we developed RIVE, we wanted to make a really challenging but fair game. And I think we did. As you mentioned, it feels good, and that's the one we tweaked it on. But some people just have different, I don't know, reaction times, or they just experience the game in a different way, and we didn't want to alienate those people. So I guess we could have made a normal mode straight away, but the hard mode is the one to play.
I'll say that when I started up, there was only hard mode, so I got to experience the full original experience there. I also want to just mention a couple things about this first stage. This first stage is one of the ones that changed more drastically over the course of several patches. That enemy that we just fought, in fact, That wasn't in the original version. That was something that was added on later. Was
Yeah,
there any reason that you did that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we made the game a bit in isolation. So we worked on it for like 2 years, and we did have some playtesters, and we did get feedback from people we invited. But for some reason, the game, when it launched, people were really happy and the reviews were good. But if we looked at the amount of time they spent, some people didn't continue playing. We want people to play as long as possible, of course.
Smacked right into the enemy.
Oh dear. It's not a single life mode.
No, it's not single credit. It is speedrun, and you will see me dying a number of times. A couple times probably on purpose, but
okay, nice.
The rest of it is the rest of it is unfortunate accidents, but for the most part, I'll be going on at a pretty good clip.
Okay, but to finish my story, basically we just wanted to front load some more action into it, because in the beginning it looks a bit like an auto scroller, and then there's like an exploration point part, but most of the time you basically have to shoot and jump. So we wanted the opening to be a little bit more like the rest of the game, to give people the better impression.
So this is something that might be a little new to you. You can go right through those lasers if you bring the nurse bot along, and that skips an entire set piece that normally brings you back, and you have to fight through some turret enemies that get introduced.
I actually knew that.
Yep, there you go. You might be seeing some of these that you know, some that you don't quite know. There's some very creative clips and other things that come along later on in the game. But right now we're kind of limited in our powers anyways. It's an incremental flow with how you get these new abilities. In general, you buy power-ups from this upgrade booth right in the beginning in the warp room area. And you can use that to get a couple new weapons, get more armor, things like that. But you also get these hacks, and the hacks allow you to control different enemies, and they'll have different beneficial effects that are useful at all sorts of points in the run. Here's another one. You can just skip right through that. They're supposed to corral you back in, and there's another set piece there. But again, one of the things that I personally love about games and speedrunning is just finding ways to use the options at your fingertips to creative benefits. And RIVE has a lot of those in just subtle movement techniques, subtle ways to work with enemies that allow you to skip either large sections of combat or get to areas that you not quite shouldn't be at. All right. So
nice.
This first stage, or I guess this is the second stage, in fact. This is introducing you to more of the standard gameplay style. There's a lot of these areas where you kind of get locked in for a while, different waves of enemies come through, and just have to survive. And survival is not quite as easy as I'm hopefully making it look. There's a lot of finesse to trying to make sure that you can deal out enough hits on enemies before they collide with you. These kamikaze robots, as they're called, are some of the primary enemies in the game. They move quite quickly. They will just follow you for as long as they can. And depending on how they are set up, they're usually faster than you as well. So it's really important to be able to kind of maneuver around them, set up a good kiting opportunity so that you don't actually have to worry too much about where they're going. All right, so that was a good stage there.
The conveyor belt that you're on is actually meant to, how do you say, to teach you how to, like if enemies come, to circle around them, to jump over them and let them come back and jump over them again. So normally, without the conveyor belt, people didn't really do that as much.
Yeah, that was something that I was really interested in from reading through. So this game initially launched on Steam. And I'm currently playing it on. Yep, I'm currently playing it on the Switch Ultimate Edition, which came out some time later, and had, I would say, a number of improvements. A lot of them fairly minor, but they do make a difference in terms of the speedrun. But one thing that I definitely enjoyed from reading a lot of your earlier posts on how you designed your game was about, for example, coming up with why you only give one ammunition for the sub-weapon. And that's something that is kind of counterintuitive, but it really made sense, and I appreciate it as we go through. So I'll let you tell that story if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Well, when we started, we didn't really know how all the game mechanics would turn out. There's a lot of iteration going on, and you just try different things, and especially for the power-ups and for like the shop where you can purchase things, we had a lot of different iterations. And I think at some point at the beginning, we had a lot of shops, and you could buy ammunition in there as well. But it basically meant that it was impossible for me as a designer to make a boss fight really challenging, because you could just stock up on weapons, and when the boss came, you could just use all your secondary weapons and just kill it. And because all of the set pieces in RIVE are like hand-made, hand-tweaked to provide a really exciting encounter. Like this guy, if you can finish him off in 2 seconds, you miss a lot of the different things.
Right.
A lot of the different scenes that you can experience. So in the end, we're like, okay, well, maybe we need to allow for less weapons to be carried. And at the end, the sweet spot was just one. Because then you have to keep collecting, and in this case, if you want to collect a secondary weapon, you have to be fast and avoid those fireballs. And so it's a risk-reward system, and there are many of those in RIVE. You just have to see if you can beat someone with another rocket and it's there, but there's also lava next to it. You have to determine: am I going to grab it now? Am I going to grab it later? And we like those kind of systems. So in the end, we ended up with just one. So you have one shot, and you collect a new one, and you have to you can fire again.
So our buddy here, you'll learn his name in just a little bit. He comes along a whole lot just to kind of bicker with you for a little bit, but there's different opportunities throughout the game where you can kill him and change up some of his speech patterns. This is actually one of the few times where it's actually faster to not kill him off there. There's just a few of those, but I do have to remember, because it's easy to just forget and shoot away. Yeah, there are many different scripts behind it. I think in the first scene you can actually kill him 3 times. And he becomes more agitated each time. And it's a lot of those little touches that I really appreciated going through, is just different dialogue, and a lot of the banter is quite good. I will congratulate you on a very well-written script. Cool. I'm trying to get Niels at Hoofd. He is the writer on the game. I'm trying to get him on the stream as well. Okay. So if I'm going to try and see if I can get him here now. Okay. I will let you work on that in the background then, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on with some of the mechanics here. Okay. So right now we're locked in a few different set pieces, and the most dastardly hazards around are those lasers. And lasers have a couple of unique properties. If you come in contact with one, it immediately takes a quarter of your max health, which is really important to know, because that means that just improving your health doesn't let you get through more laser traps. And for every few frames that you're in contact with them afterwards, they'll also do additional damage. So definitely don't want to be a part of them. But if you were to jump into them from this gravity bubble that I'm in right now, it would actually push you back down. So it's really hard to go up through lasers at any point in time. And that does play a role in quite a few instances. Okay. There we go. So you see these little split markers as we go through. That's actually comparing against my personal best individual level time for each of these stages as we're going through. And it's a really neat feature, I think, especially that it keeps track of it still in singles in this full campaign speedrun mode. So you can see how far I am off from the best performance I've had on a particular stage. for most of these, so long as I don't have any egregious deaths, I should be within 10 or 20 seconds of my personal best for each of those stages. But there's a couple of quite dangerous and tricky stages that I might have to give up a few deaths on.
Yeah, so for people who don't know the game, there's also a single life mode, which means you need to play the entire campaign, an hour and a half in this case, without dying once. And I have to admit, I don't know if I did like the full campaign like that, but I did complete all the missions separately like that.
Yeah.
So we know it's possible.
Yeah, it is quite a feat. I did it once on the PC version. I have not done it on the Switch version.
Okay.
It takes quite a bit of tenacity.
Yeah, you have to be careful, and you have to have a bit of a different strategy as well.
Yeah. A lot of the tricks that you'll be seeing me do throughout this run, I can do because the checkpoints are fairly forgiving if I do have a catastrophic death somewhere along the way. So this is the last set piece of this stage, and it's just fiery mayhem all the way throughout. Something that I tried to look for a lot when I was doing routes for this game is what kind of triggers I need to hit before the next wave of enemies starts, before the next sequence would actually allow me to move through. And in some places it was really hard to tell, just because the enemies do come at kind of a consistent pace. It's difficult to say whether killing one enemy before actually caused the next wave to spawn, or if it was just on some timer. But at the very least, for this sequence, there's certain things that I know happen as soon as I kill certain enemies. Like right now. Oh, there we go. You can
Very good.
Yeah, you can completely skip some fireworks and text there.
Oh, you actually skipped the mission end.
That's right. So we just went right through, and there's a very narrow region of the hitbox that disappears that allows you to go right into the pipe while it's still burning.
I wonder if anything goes wrong with the in-game accounting of where you are.
The campaign mode, not that I know of. If you do it in an IL speedrun, it does not actually count the level, and you just move on to mission 4 as if everything is normal. I'm going to go completely nuts in this section, so it's very likely that I will die. This is a very difficult area to get through. Okay. Okay.
Nice.
Should be safe.
Nice.
This is honestly one of my favorite stages for a couple different reasons. I do have to use a different set of strategies on the campaign, simply because the difference between the campaign and IL speedrun modes is simply that if you start up an IL speedrun mode, it will give you all of the powers right away. And with campaign, I still have to buy them all up and earn them. So there's some things that I cannot reliably do simply because I don't have all of the upgrades that would let me do that. And you compromise a little bit. So right here, I'm actually going through the fight on that platform. I can skip it, just like I'm skipping this one. There we go. And that saves quite a bit of time. That's just the faster platform. Do a little loop back.
Yeah,
got it.
Skipping this one as well.
All right.
Nice.
There's another set piece that I skipped there with a whole bunch of squids. So this is the first stage where you really get introduced to the missile squids, and they are my least favorite enemy by far.
Okay.
But thankfully we can skip right through that with just some precise timing, and it works out really well. So right now I'm gonna get the... Actually, no, I'm going to skip everything and wait until the next stage.
So you have more money?
Yeah, I'd prefer to have the upgrade, the second armor upgrade, as opposed to the blunderbuss quite yet. So we'll put it off.
Hey, by the way, the fight you just skipped, I remember having conversations with the other team members. And somebody said, I can just skip this fight, but just barely, because I fall down and I die. And I actually tweaked the level a bit, so it's now possible to skip it. So I'm very happy that you found it, because I remember having a conversation about that.
Yeah, it's actually really kind of fickle. At one point, you might have seen me move back and forth a bit. That wiggle helps set up the timing appropriately.
Yeah, you have to have upwards momentum a bit more.
It's not that you even have to have upwards momentum. The lasers turn on at different times. So sometimes it's just not possible to go through there at all because the lasers turn on too quickly. And for whatever reason, I've found that just wiggling back and forth a little bit will tweak those lasers just right, and I'll be able to get through a reasonable time.
Yeah, it could be. I think there's a sensor in the bubble where you fight the squids, and I think the sensor is just off-center. So that could be the one, the case of the reason why it acts differently.
Yeah. Either way, I was very happy that it was there.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. So this is a very tense stage. These trains will kill you in one hit if I am not careful. I'm just gonna go back a little bit. And you can be very aggressive here, and they, oh, just like that. I got clipped on the roof a little bit, and that's all it takes. I'll not risk it. Okay. Okay. All right, and that should be good. Wait this one out. Yeah, it's very tense to get through there. And then note the little joke for this one. The lone kamikaze wants to be a train. It's okay. Throughout the rest of this stage, there's a few more minor skips, but we do have some fairly intense fights with some more of the sky whales. And the mini and larger versions of the sky whales, I don't believe we actually fight any, well, I don't fight any more of the larger sky whales throughout the rest of the game, but these mini sky whales certainly still have a lot of health. They're pretty annoying just because when they turn on the shield, since right now I only have rockets, it will reflect the rockets right back at me, and it can be very dangerous. I didn't quite want to move that guy there. Okay, we'll do all right. So what I'm trying to do here, I've got the nurse drone. I want to, oh, I think I just killed him. Yep. So I moved him out of position. I want to try and keep that sentry alive up until the second phase of the fight. Oh, nurse drone's gone too. And that would have allowed me to take out some of the more difficult waves a little bit safer. We'll still be all right though. Should still be all right. This sequence is all about trying to deal with these different waves of enemies coming out while also still focusing down these skywhale targets. Because they do only have that limited region of vulnerability, so you do have to get the shots in when you can, or else they'll just be overwhelmed. Oh, right there, that was a full reflect. Yep. When they get two of them, that's when it gets really dangerous.
By the way, do you notice the blocks they drop, or Tetris blocks?
Yeah. Yep. Recently, I've actually been finding out that you can... no, I got stuck in the corner. I've been finding out that you can make the larger whale drop them in different positions.
Oh, wow.
It just gets offset slightly, and it doesn't stack up evenly anymore.
It's not supposed to happen.
No. Certainly not, but at the very least, I haven't found anything good to do with it yet.
Okay. I think even the block to your right now, the single block, it should actually be a bit more to the right, because there's a small gap, but I think we just weren't able to fix it no matter what we did.
There's always something like that that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're into... There we go. once that door is open, we can just jump on the saw and we don't have to wait for the whale to come through and drop some more blocks. And finally, we start to get towards the end of this stage. This is the first stage where it does take, you go through quite a few different areas and patterns. That one. Okay. So there's one more set piece here. This initial area that you go to is pretty uneventful to start. But what's going to happen is there's these laser orbs that end up pushing you back. These guys. And no matter what you do, you cannot get through them. But you can just avoid them. So
nice. You skipped another fight?
Yep, there's a mine set piece back there, and it would take a little while. And going any of the fights in the water are a little bit tricky, just because you have to go out of the water to actually fire, and those mines will walk around. You won't have much ability to deal with them underwater aside from getting close to them. There we go. That's the end of Mission 5.
Nice. So, I have a question.
Yes.
Did you try if it's faster to walk or jump? If you have like a long section, horizontal section?
I did not explicitly try that, but that was actually something that I've been thinking about since, especially coming to this event. There are a couple new things that I noticed and tried to work out, but just due to limited practice time, have not been able to incorporate all the way yet.
Okay. Because I think we checked it at some point, but maybe something changed on the gravity setting or something else.
Mm-hmm. So now I've got the second armor upgrade, and this is purely for safety. I actually, when I'm doing regular attempts with this, I have a slightly different route. We'd get the second armor upgrade a little bit later. This is just so that I can take a little bit more risks in some of these middle stages. But first, we've got Stage 6. There's a very minor change in the Switch version in this initial part that actually makes it quite a bit faster than in the PC releases. And that's that he turns off his shield pretty soon after. In the PC versions, you have to wait it out, and you'll tag along and you'll talk about video games. But we don't have time for that right now. We got a ship to blow up.
We actually did that quite late because there was a progress blocking issue. Mm-hmm. For some reason, he didn't open the piston for you to stand on.
Oh.
I don't remember what it was, but it was like something based on the order in which you did things.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to just let the player kill him.
Okay. And there's a little bit of a secret in this stage. I'm not going to get it for this playthrough, but feel free to describe what it is and why you guys put it in there. Because I think it's a really sweet story.
Yeah. Well, actually, in this stage, there are 3 butterflies, or a series of butterflies, and if you touch them, all 3, a different path opens, and you go into a chamber which is like an oasis inside the spaceship. So there's a lot of water and trees and flowers, and I think some rocks with elephant paintings on it as well. And it's a tribute to the niece of Martijn Reuvers, one of the co-founders of Two Tribes. And she died after just being 7 days old.
Oh.
She was born too soon. And yeah, he was. I don't know. It's a difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided to put a tribute to her.
Yeah, it's a very touching story, though.
In the game. Yeah. It's too bad that we had to put it in, but. Yeah.
All right. This particular set piece.
This looks easy.
Yeah, I would say that there's not a whole lot for me to do. There are a couple of safe spots, and so long as you hang out in them, you are mostly safe. So long as you can take out these blades in time. So this is probably our good first chance to read some donations if we've got them, Spike.
Absolutely. We got here from Dante247 near the end of Resident Evil 2's run. Donated a $250 donation. Yeah, very generous of him. I always look forward to seeing my favorite Canadian chicken, bok soup, run at GDQ. Best of luck, and let's go. Donation goes towards the runner's choice, which right now is Omnigamer sitting there on that couch.
What's the next game? I think that's the task block incentive, correct?
Yeah, to throw in the SM64, the one key task.
Let's do that one.
Awesome, we will put that towards that. Also got $45 here from NES Jumpman. All my GDQ are belong to Cent. I'm sure he appreciates that. Our fabled prize man. Gabby and Greg donated $25. My wife and I are really enjoying the runs. Thanks and good luck, everyone. Thank you, Gabby and Greg.
All right, one more.
And a $50 anonymous donation here then. A modest $50 to get based Pooh Bear on stage once again. Please give a quick shout out to my heavenly Alex. Since you won't go to sleep, enjoy the stream.
All right.
So for
go
people
ahead.
like me who don't really know how this stuff works, how do I donate?
Let him know, Spike.
Yeah, actually you can go to gamesdonequick.com. And from there should be on the header at the top of the page, there should be an option to donate right there. A button somewhere on there that you can click. I actually haven't looked at the website myself yet to see exactly what it is. But yeah, it should be a big button that you can click for with donate. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there at the top of the page. You can click there, top left, donate. And you can put that towards anything you'd like. You can put that towards any of our incentives the rest of the way. Get something like the new task for the SM64 one key. You can get that in there. Also to put the Super Mario Brothers 3 co-op run that we want to see get into the marathon. Any sort of stuff like that, and put in your donation comment as well.
All right, thank you. And
Thanks.
so some of you might have noticed that this whole part of the stage looks somewhat familiar if you've played some classic shoot-'em-ups. In particular, there's certainly a not Vic Viper in the background, and some oddly suspicious lava cannons here. Definitely not anything I've seen before.
When we started the game, we had a few influences, and Gradius was one of them.
Few, yeah.
And this is a section of the first level of the first Gradius. And people who know Gradius, they'll recognize it. And because we were going to have those auto-scrolling levels, I just had to have it in there.
Right. And I would say that's actually one of the things that drew me to this game in particular, is just it has some great humor, and there's a lot of references to various games that a lot of people have played. And you see that not only in the stage design, but also some of these call-outs, like this stage in particular. Certainly a love letter to Gradius. All right. So we're coming up in the end of this stage. This is one of the few kind of slow points of the run. So I can kind of relax on this stage. It is rather difficult to actually do this extremely fast, but the difference of 1 or 2 seconds in terms of the amount of effort that I would need to put in is pretty minimal. So it's much easier to just aim for a pretty typical time than to go all out and save just that 1 extra second. Especially when there's so much more time to lose from trying to play especially risky.
Do you happen to know what the best time is right now for on the leaderboards for the full campaign?
Is, I believe it's either a high 115 or a high 116, and that's by Vantier. My personal best is a 117 and change. I don't quite remember, but yeah, there's been some new things. That time itself is actually fairly old, so we need to get all the new stuff in, and I think that we can get a 114 to 113 time in there.
Nice.
Especially with just the minor optimizations that appeared in the Switch version, we can save another 20-30 seconds overall.
Yeah. I might just try it myself as well. Is that cheating?
No, absolutely not. You're welcome to put up your best. I'm willing to take the challenge.
Good, good. I can actually update the game with something I put in for myself.
Hey.
Just
that
beat
might
you
be
by
cheating.
a minute.
That might be cheating. We're all about the fairness.
Good.
So my question is, which of you got the 3D printer that you decided that DLL needed to be 3D printed?
Well, actually, I don't think anyone has a 3D printer.
Oh, well, now it's something for you to try.
No, you're correct. Because one of the guys who worked on the game made all these graphics. It's just one guy, and he made everything.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
at some
impressive.
point, yeah, his name is Spiegel. And he is pretty good. But he also had a 3D printer, so maybe it's because he got one. But the thing is, we noticed that at some point it was really fun to shoot down DLL because you get to see what he says the next time, and he gets a bit more agitated and has more personality. And then we decided, well, what if there is only one last one left? And that's a bit of a spoiler, but near the end of the game, he'll actually be able to print his last self. So he becomes a bit scared, and he knows he can die just like you. So
Yeah. All right, so I'm getting an update here. The current speedrun leader is at 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 58 seconds. So that's Vantier. So I'm not that far behind, just a handful of seconds. It's the difference of about one death. Soon, we'll get that done.
In the first mission, when you exit the conveyor belt section, you decided to shoot the sort of dead sky whale.
The giant sky whale, yes.
Yeah, but you didn't go over it.
Correct.
Is it not faster to go over it instead of killing it?
If I'm doing ILs, absolutely. But again, one of the things that changes when you're doing campaign is specifically that you need enough loot to be able to do the right purchases at the right times. So I do go through the extra few seconds that it takes to kill that sky whale, simply so that I have enough to guarantee that I can get that first armor grade upgrade right away. And that's the main difference.
Okay.
And there's a couple other instances like that too. Well, it's not really about the game. It's all about planning. And that's one of the things that I personally really enjoy about doing speedruns, is that there's always something new to consider that changes depending on like the particular context of what you're doing it in. So when you're doing these full campaign runs, you do have other things to consider. Like there's that bug in Mission 3 that you actually don't want to do in ILs, simply because the mission doesn't end and you don't get a clear time. And being able to determine when you get the loot that you need, everything like that, is really important. And it adds another dimension to it. So it's not just a matter of being good at every mission and then repeating IL strats in the course of a full run. You do need to adapt it towards the particular way that you're running it at the moment.
Yeah. It's a different way of playing.
One of the things that I want to mention is I really love the sound design on this stage in particular. The music works really well with just the particular traps and the sequences of enemies that pop up here.
Yeah. Well, then I guess it's time to give a shout out to Sonic Picnic, the Dutch company that made the music for this game.
Oh, absolutely. I think they did a great job.
Good. Well, and I agree, of course.
All right, so we're coming up to the final sequence of this particular section, and there's some unique things that happen here. I'm going to want to try and stay on this top platform for as long as possible. However, since... Oh, gosh. This is risky. Okay. These squids are as annoying as ever, but now I'm also trapped by these lasers, so I'm very restricted in where I can go. Okay, there's 1 and 2. All right. And since I'm right in the middle, the lasers don't hit me right as we're going through.
Nice.
And that just lets me catch the train one cycle earlier.
Nice. I did not know about this.
There you go. I told you you'd learn something.
Yeah.
Glad I got that side-scrolling game view installed. Makes killing enemies behind me super easy.
Okay. Now on to the second part of the stage, and another great use of the sound design. There's just a lot of, it's kind of a side-scroller, but they managed to make up a lot of the action sync up pretty well with what's actually happening, and I think that it really gets the blood flowing just as you're going through. It makes it a complete experience, and that's something that I really love.
Yeah, some sections were easy to do. Like in this case, it's more on rails. You know exactly where people are at this point.
Yes. All right. So something that I'm still working on. Looks like I've already got plenty, so I still need to collect enough loot at various points throughout. I'm definitely going to have enough by the next time I'm in the warp room, so I'm not concerned now. I already have 880 something, and I need another 999 to collect Blunderbuss Attack. Lately I've been experimenting with a route that gets the Blunderbuss first, and I honestly prefer it a lot, but this is actually a little bit more of what I'm used to throughout the run, so I'm using the Falcon rockets.
But you're not using them right now.
I'm not using them right now. I do use them periodically, and I do, oh gosh, there we go. I use them periodically against the bosses especially. Otherwise, I do tend to conserve ammo in some of these parts, unless I know that a particular enemy wave, for example, is a trigger for the next wave. Take them out just that little bit much quicker. There we go. Pay attention to the music in this sequence. Just you can feel the tension building up as we progress through the stage a little further. Oh no! Okay. That is really unpredictable. Just dealing with all the fire coming through is really hectic, but we made it through. We made it through. 618, not bad. So the gimmick here, I've somehow messed up my gun and I can't fire, so we get to go through part of the next stage without being able to fire initially, which has its own brand of problems. But we also get some banter in the meantime. So the exchanges between Roughshot is the name of the pilot that you control, and DLL. There's a lot of fun with them. Not only are they often full of references and other things, but they definitely have some. They make some good chemistry. There's a lot of good opportunities just between the two of them for nice banter, and I appreciate that.
It's a bit of a buddy story, but they still kill each other all the time.
There's a bug, well, not really a bug, but a very rare pattern that you can set up where that first smash bot chases you down and actually gets crushed by the door there, and it'll count as the trigger and you'll be able to go through like 8 seconds faster, but it's very hard to get and it's not consistent at all. This is another thing that was changed in the Switch version, is that he turns off his shield there as well. Normally he does not.
Yeah, it took too long.
Go. So I still can't fire, and now we have some tension added to the mix. Okay, I should have enough health. Okay, we're good.
Just keep walking.
Just keep going. And then, yeah, there we go. So one of the mechanics that I haven't quite explained yet, the way that the drops work is that each enemy kind of has a particular amount of points assigned to them, such that every time that you get over a certain threshold of points, there's a drop. So you can fairly reliably make drops happen, but there is randomness in whether it's a health drop or an ammo drop. And as your health goes down, the more likely it is that it's going to be a health drop.
Yes, you know everything.
I paid attention when you guys were posting on the forums. Thanks for all the helpful information.
Good.
Sounds like there's an alarm going off somewhere.
Yeah, I have to find it. I'm sorry. I'm at my parents' house now.
It's all right. Okay.
Yes, I hit it.
Success.
Nope.
Nope. Round 2.
Okay, I just threw it away, so it's still beeping, but I hope you can't hear it anymore.
You do what you can.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first major stage that introduces you to the Smash bots. We saw some of them earlier. They are very aggressive. They will try and ram you on sight, and they also have a fair amount of HP. But something that is particularly helpful is that since they are very predictable in their movement patterns, you can use that to your advantage in some particular places. And you'll see some examples of that coming up in just a little bit. And hopefully, so I need enough health to survive through this section, but also if any of the falling debris happens to block those lasers, I can get a little better position earlier. It does not look like it has. Nope. I don't think I have the health for this now. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
We'll try it one more time. For the most part, the checkpoints are fairly forgiving. So even when I fail something and happen to die, oh no. Yeah, I'm not going to make that one. Come on. There we go. Nope. There. So with a little help from our new buddy, get out of there just a bit earlier.
So you're about 32 seconds behind your best?
For this stage. So the IL for this stage, I'm behind. And that's probably from that death, as well as possibly missing some of those early tricks in that very first room that I was talking about.
Okay. I thought the counter was counting for your best campaign and not the individual missions.
It should be for the individual missions while you're in the mission. However, when you're in the intermission areas, it does count against just the overall time, like the amount of time that you've spent in that intermission zone.
Okay.
At the very least, that's I'm pretty sure what it is.
Yeah, I believe you. I wasn't the programmer on the project, so I think I knew at some point, but I don't remember exactly what.
Mm-hmm. What was your role with the project for the most part?
I was the game designer.
Okay, so you were coming up with kind of the level designs and the concepts, mechanics, things like that?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And, most of the set pieces, how do you say, a little bit of the overall design, and the nitty-gritty details. Mm-hmm. So when I see you play and you talk about squids being annoying, I wonder if you think they're annoying in a good way or a bad way.
I am glad that they challenged me, I'll put it that way.
Okay. Because I think the squids were made because we relied too much on the kamikaze enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, we need something that can actually fight back and give you a bit more options for strategy.
Yeah, I would say that they definitely accomplished that. They make you work, make you work around the squids however you can at the moment. And just the fact that they have a lot of health and that missiles will block your shots a lot of times makes them fairly robust. And since they always move away from you, you don't have consistent options for dealing with them. So it is a challenge when they come along, but I think that that's their purpose. They're kind of a higher level enemy type.
Yeah. I think we made this part easier for the Ultimate Edition. The speed of the rotating lasers.
Okay. I don't remember enough of that being different, but I'd believe it.
Yeah.
So now we have the Mega Smash Bot. And this guy works on a couple different phases. So I'll go through about 6 of these instances where he'll send out a regular Smash Bot. You kill that, and then he does a charge attack at you. And after that, he goes into kind of a rampage, just constant charging motion. And what you want to do is make sure you load up as much damage on him as possible while he's in this phase, so that you can shorten that later phase significantly. Unfortunately, I am not doing great on health at the moment. There we go. Okay, now he's going into the charge phase. You can tell because the camera actually moves slightly in, and that's your sign that things are no longer the same. But he can be quite difficult when you're first playing him. Because when he's in this mode, the number of kamikazes gradually increases as you're going through. There we go.
Nice. Lots of loot.
All the loot. I haven't really mentioned what we're picking up. You see these like green containers that we pick up periodically. Those are hacks or viruses that you use to take over enemies. And every time you get a new one, it's kind of like a new ability. In this case, we just gained the ability to take over our best friend, Smashbot, and he will help us greatly by just charging everything madly. And I'm taking a little bit safe against those guys just because they do a fair bit of damage, and you want to kill them off so that Smashbot doesn't become preoccupied with them, because you really need him to get through this barrier. And now he's done his job. Good boy.
He actually hates everything, so he also kills ceiling lights or other small things.
There is a reason that I try to kill all of those as I'm going along, just so he doesn't get completely sidetracked. Because every time he charges, he also loses some health. Right. So now we're grabbing our second and only other sub-weapon for this run, the Blunderbuss. And it has some unique properties. It's one of my favorites, just because the Falcon rockets, while they do a fair number of damage and they can split off into all sorts of different enemies, there's also a high risk of collateral damage. So if you're too close, the splash damage will hurt you and can be quite devastating depending on what's going on. All right, another one of my favorite stages now.
Hey, is it a Tetris block?
Yeah, how about that?
Can the people in the audience hear the music as well?
Yep, they can hear everything that you can.
Okay. Because the music is not very loud on my headset.
Oh, okay.
But the music is inspired by Tetris, so.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so I'm gonna stay right here and keep that guy from wandering down.
Ah, yeah.
There we
go. I think this idea actually came from a Twitter user, but I'm sorry, but I don't remember his name. I think he's in the credits.
Okay.
But I was fooling around with the blocks, and I was just looking for inspiration, what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, why don't you make a giant Tetris machine? And we ended up putting that in the game.
There you go. Inspiration from everywhere.
Yeah. These lasers that have this waving pattern on top of you,
mm-hmm.
they actually used to be like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 blocks lower,
mm-hmm.
so that they would almost hit you even if you were standing on the floor.
Oh yeah.
And we would have you fight one of the bigger walking turrets, and so you could only beat it if you did it like absolutely perfectly. So you had to jump in sync with the waves, the lasers going up and down. And I think I was the only one in the world that actually was able to do it. So they made me change it.
Oh.
I think it's for the better.
Would have been fun to see, but yeah, gotta draw the line somewhere. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the wrong button. So something about the blunderbuss attack, I'm not entirely sure how its damage properties work. I believe if it's closer to you, it does more damage. Otherwise, it's a wide spread. So
I think it also depends on how many enemies are in your sight. Because,
okay. Does it split the damage between them then?
Yeah, there's a maximum that it can do.
Okay.
So if there are like 10 kamikazes, it cannot kill all of them, but it. Oh, is this on purpose?
That is on purpose. I need enough health for this next sequence.
Aha.
Every tool available to me.
Yes. He's going to skip a fight again.
Yep. There you go. Lava skip. That's actually a really difficult skip. And you use the fact that the blunderbuss has a small amount of momentum in the opposite direction of how you fire it. And without that, you cannot make that jump. So you absolutely need to use that attack there in order to reach the other side. And I was very glad that I was able to find that. There's a couple other places that I was hoping to be able to use that, particularly in last stage, stage 8, that you can potentially clear the gap, but I've never been able to get enough distance to do that. So that one's just out of reach. And now we got the rising lava level, which I believe you also made this easier at some point from feedback from players.
Yeah, we noticed that a lot of players, like this section depends a lot on how you double jump. So our double jump is a bit analog, so it's not always the same height. So it depends on where in the upwards momentum you actually press the button again. And if people become tense, they press the button sooner, so they double jump before reaching the highest point in the first jump. And then they think they do everything correctly, but they still die because the lava gets them. And that was difficult to explain to people that they should double jump in a different way. So we made it a little bit easier, but I think we also just incorporated the section in the middle, where if you reach the middle section, you can actually you have a bit of a safe spot. So it sort of resets the challenge at the center of the level.
He's just gone. Doesn't even care that I left. Come on, Smashbot.
I didn't pay attention. Did you hack the Smashbot?
Yes.
Okay. I think you can actually cross the laser barrier.
I've tried quite a bit, and they do converge on you, and they will kill you before you're able to do anything. There's a different mission where you can get around it on the corner.
Yeah.
But I believe that's in stage 8. And you can wander around beyond the laser barrier, but I wasn't able to find anything useful to do with it.
No. But I think it should be possible. I think because it's a bit technical, but the locations of the laser turrets are based on tile positions. So it's not a perfect circle. So some lasers are set one tile further apart, and maybe it's possible to actually go in one place, actually go past the laser barrier. But I'll go and check for you.
There you go. The insight from the devs, possibly leading to new things. So, from here on, we get to the most difficult stages in the game, and this is also some of the most notorious fights, which unfortunately, no, I have not found means to skip yet. So, we will be seeing, hopefully, I won't struggle too much, but there's definitely some challenging fights ahead. But something that I love that you did is that you made it such that you revisit a lot of areas throughout the play. And like this underwater section, it's just a slightly different route than something that you visited before. And this is something that happens for pretty much every stage. Is there's just like you see a different part of it on a different iteration. I'm just gonna wait one more cycle. Okay. And I played that a little bit passively. You can get through quite a bit faster in ILs, but I have very limited health to work with here, and I'm gonna work on not dying. I need to get enough health, and I also need to get sub-weapon ammo in this room for just a couple different reasons.
Can you not already go upstairs here?
I can. This is my only opportunity to get the sub-weapon drops that I need, though. There's one. Oh, I've already gotten it. Not even paying attention enough. Okay. We'll just assume that I needed that one. Grab that. As soon as you enter that pipe, it spawns a whole bunch of kamikazes. Oh, grab that. Safety. And here
was anything preventing you from doing this at the beginning?
No, and in fact, there's actually a quicker way that you can just ride the bats all the way up. And right there, you actually did a skip of another sequence where if you land on that pipe to the left or to the right, it'll start another sequence where it chases you down. But I used the rockets to actually boost me up. So I got a little bit of extra height off of that and allows me to reach the entryway instead of jumping on the right, and that skips that trigger.
Nice. Whoop. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that one's a fairly minor skip. It's another 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, you're coming up on the 1 hour mark, by the way.
All right, I think that's pretty well on pace then.
Okay. Because this is mission 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My health is a little sketchy, but I think we'll be all right.
So, do you think people in the audience actually know what's going on? Because you're rushing through everything so quickly?
Well, hopefully they'll be able to tell that it's frantic and that I'm playing the best I can. There's a lot of skill going on in trying to avoid and manipulate enemies as we go through. And that's largely what you try and get along from speedruns, because especially if you never have the opportunity. Oh, okay, there's a small skip there that I can do. If I land back in the bubble afterwards, I can keep moving instead of getting frozen. And but yeah, a lot of I'm out of jumps. Okay, so this room, there's a lot goes on in this room. This is probably one of This is probably one of the most notorious rooms in the game. It actually has some rather beautiful setups in it, I believe. It's just really challenging to get down, and this is one of the places that early on, when I was first playing through the game, I got stuck here for quite a while, just because how everything is set up really takes a lot of practice to be able to do it effectively. So right now, I'm basically dodging around this saw blade, and we need to kill these wily walkers on the side. They are the triggers for the next set of waves. So as soon as they're gone, everything else can kind of continue. It's just the catch that when I'm in the water, I can't fire. So I have to do these jumps out of the water in order to actually take any shots. And I also have limited control when I'm doing those jumps.
When testing this section or another section similar to it, we noticed that some players would actually hover on the surface of the water and just stick out their gun.
Mm-hmm.
So they were underwater, but their gun was outside, so they could still fire.
Yeah.
But then we put in the saw blade, and then you really cannot do that.
That's one of the scary parts. As soon as you start killing the bats, those lasers spawn, and they spawn relative to the saw blade's location. But that was cutting it really close, because the lasers are far more dangerous than the saw blade. So now I have to do this constant dance in and out of the water avoiding the lasers and the saw blade, while also taking out these walkers and avoiding the kamikazes. So there's a lot going on.
I think I removed one of the lasers. There were 4 or 5 before.
Quite possibly.
So that means that if you get hit by 3 lasers at once, you don't necessarily die
if you have full
good
health. Okay, I did that first try. That's great news.
Nice.
All right, get in there. So that should be pretty much the end of stage 10. There's a little bit more of a sequence, and what I was hoping was a skip, unfortunately turned out not to be. This is something I thought of actually at the event and toyed around with a little bit. I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to attempt it because since it is new, I haven't fully explored it, and if there's a chance that I would get soft blocked and have to redo the mission, that would just be bad news. So we're going to not worry about that, and I'll just explain it when I get there.
I'm curious now.
Mm-hmm. So in this area, the end of the mission happens when you destroy this pipe, this cap at the top. If I were to stand in the doorway and shoot it from there, I can break it and be on the other side of the doorway when it closes. However, the pipe that leads back up is still closed, so it does not save any time to do it that way. You can actually get crushed by the door too, and it leads to some funny earthquake mode, and you fire fireworks into the wall. But again, I'm not willing to risk that right now, simply because I haven't played around with it enough.
Okay. It's funny how you're playing through sections that cost us months to develop, and you just spend 2 seconds there.
Oop. This is a neat little section. So one of the things that's a little difficult to practice is just when you are doing the campaign mode, there are these kind of intermission areas that aren't part of any particular IL. So it's not something that is particularly easy to practice. You need to set it up in a special way if you actually want to be able to go through them. And in that case, I really like that climbing pipe section. It is fun to go through.
I think there's an achievement that you have to go through it without killing anything.
You have to go through without killing any of the mines, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a challenge. Yeah, they will explode as you get close to them, so you don't even have to shoot. And it does take a little bit of practice and planning. The way that those pipes are supposed to work is that there's vertical ones and horizontal ones, and you're supposed to launch yourself up, and then the horizontal ones will shoot you over to the side. But for the most part, you can still just make the jumps over to where you need to get without using the horizontal ones.
Yeah.
All right, stage 11. This is the most dangerous stage for a variety of reasons, but we've got some really critical skips and things as well. Some of which, so most of the skips that are used throughout the run are things that I found when I was just first working on the ILs. The skip that'll be coming up was actually found by Vantier, who worked on it after I had gotten started. And I had a different thing that I was doing at this point that required using some sub-weapon ammo. And he found something very different that saves a whole lot more time. So we'll get to see that as soon as we're out of this set piece area.
Nice. So you guys know each other now?
Of course, it's kind of a collaborative thing, and that's one of the best things about speedrunning is that a lot of times, even though you might be competing for a best time or something like that, there's still a lot of merit to pooling knowledge and working together.
Yeah, because once you do it yourself, you have to show it off anyway.
That's right. And so there's not a whole lot of secret strats and things. It's all about trying to share and come up with what's best to optimize the game. So we're almost done. This is the end of this particular section is triggered by with the waves, and it should be the next one. There we go. Okay. And I've got plenty of health for this, so this is fine. My old trick was as soon as you blast out, you actually get quite a bit of height, and you can use the blunderbuss again to reach that upper platform. But that doesn't save nearly as much time as doing something else.
You're going to skip the laser cave?
Oh, nope, apparently not. The rockets fired me off at a weird angle, so we'll get to try that one more time. This is a pretty significant skip, just because the laser cage does take quite a bit of time, and you just kind of push right through the middle, and it doesn't spawn anything. Hooray.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Boom. So something that I didn't spend much time on, you guys placed a number of kind of secret items throughout that don't have any functional purpose, but they're fun to collect, and I would say that you hid them very well. There's one right up there, so there's your one hint. Everybody else can still look for them themselves. A little bit of a close call. Okay.
Is there another skip coming up?
There is not, I don't believe. So we can't really get past this. We can optimize it a little bit by making sure we preserve this gun turret for the squids. So they're going to come right about now. One of the things that is good when you have the laser turret is when you fire a sub-weapon, it also fires the sub-weapon. So you get some really big damage.
Yeah, at some point we actually had different gun turrets. So if you would hack a laser turret, it would be a laser, and if you would hack a missile firing turret, it would be used as that.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
But it was too complicated.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of stuff to keep track of. I think the turrets by themselves is just a lot more natural, since that's already what you fire.
Didn't mean to shoot ya.
Yeah, it's funny because when we changed it, we were like, oh no, we need to have the different weapon turrets, and in the end, everybody just accepts it the way we presented it. So during game development, you worry about a lot of things that don't really matter, and this was one of them.
Okay, so we're back to this room. We've got the last hack staring on down at us, and this is probably the most difficult room in the game. There's some really tense fights that happen, especially towards the end, and during my first casual playthrough, this is probably where I spent the most time out of anything, just because it really tests your ability to manage different enemy types that keep spawning.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun to make. It basically uses all the tricks that we can use as a designer. So this level deforms in real time. So things drop down. And you can see from the red light that there is a pit of death next to it. And you get less and less like floor surface to actually stand on. I like designing this one a lot.
It is a bit stressful. You need to kill both of these wily walkers in order to advance to the next phase. Unfortunately, these guys are still here. Okay. There's a wave of bats. Bats cannot kill you, which is kind of a unique thing about them. They are largely there to give you drops, get some nice ammo, or health drops out of them. Okay. This is
actually the reason why they cannot kill you is because the game it doesn't allow you to get killed from one hit damages. So if you get hit by one bullet, you cannot die from it. It has to be an explosion or a collision that's heavier than just one damage point.
Okay.
And the bats they just have one damage point, so they cannot kill you by touching them. And I think you actually use it, right? So you can sort of hover on top of the bats to get to higher places.
There's actually... it didn't actually turn out to be a skip, but in the first stage, after you added that Wily Walker as part of the stage, you can get to the crate on that the Wily Walker spawns on, and use that, get over it, by just jumping on the bats at the right time.
Yeah.
But it ended up not being useful because the lasers still spawn on the other side. But I made it through that without dying, and that's actually really difficult. Whew. So we're on really good pace. 658, nice. So now we have the final power, which is to hack these kamikazes, and they have this wonderful bubble. So they will follow you along, and you have this gravity bubble to work with, which is vital. It's just unfortunate that there's kind of so few areas in the game left to use it, because it is a very fun power.
It actually breaks a lot of the things that we put in the game, because you can just fly anywhere. So we had to place it at the end of the game, unfortunately.
Right. And that is fair. It's that's one of the things about a lot of adventure games, is you want to avoid any instance where just getting unlimited flight suddenly trivializes a lot of things.
Yeah. So what's actually really pretty strange is that so these things, they have an anti-gravity bubble around them, but you're on a ship which has artificial gravity. So you have like a no gravity, no gravity situation, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's a game. You can do whatever you'd want.
True.
So this is kind of the final sequence. We're going to float on up to the control room, and we're going to get the final bits of story, but there's a lot of dialogue that happens in between here, so if you want to read some more donations, this is a good time for it, Spike.
Absolutely, thank you. Once again, guys, we got the Earthbound incentives coming up, a couple of bid wars. You can donate for the name of the kids. Again, right now it is Yeet leading at $425, with Ryan only $100 behind. And for the player name, it is Mega Man leading at $100, with the chat sitting at $40. And as always, we got the Save Kill the Animals for the Super Metroid Link to the Past randomizer run that will be done in the early AM. Between Andy and Oats and Goats. Save the Animals currently leading by just about $250 right now, so absolutely that could swing either way. As for a couple donations here, we have from Reap Owns, we got $50. Love runs that include dev commentary. Good luck on the run and thanks. Put it towards Spike's choice, and I will be putting it towards Super Mario Bros. 3. Getting that in to see Grand Pooh Bear and Mitch Flower Power from the last marathon run get to mend that friendship and bring it all back together and do that co-op run.
We've got time for probably 2 or 3 more.
All right. We got a $25 donation from Nashru, who just throwing us a heart and saying keep it up. And a $35 anonymous donation, looking forward to the Earthbound run. And a $100 donation from Stoppable Force. Yep, very nice. No comment there, but obviously, thank you very much for your generosity.
And as just a reminder, all the donations today are going towards the Twitch Charity Plaza, which includes 10 different charities. And they cover all manner of wonderful causes. You can read about them on the GDQ page. I believe there's links to each of the individual charities, so you know where your money's going and that it's going to a great place.
And I actually really want to read one more donation that just came in here, a $10 donation from Level 500 Boss, just saying, just bought RIVE on Switch, and since it's on sale, here's the money I saved. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
One of the things that they just go over here is RIVE is in fact a real word. It is not just an acronym or anything like that, and it is to tear apart violently. So that's what we're in store for. That's the name of the last boss. So you know you're in for something good. Get it there. So we're leading into the final area, and the whole point here is that we're trying to collect this power cell that DLL was using to kind of experiment and create this most epic creation of RIVE, and that will allow us to escape the space station with the warp. But it's using it right now, and we need to get it back.
Yeah, in the section leading up to this, there was actually a reference to Portal 2. When he says there is a 99.99999% chance
I was wondering
that
about that
something
one.
would happen. It's from the opening in Portal 2.
There you go.
I don't know if you remember.
So here we go. Final boss.
Yeah, we had a lot of redesigns for this one.
I think it came out really well. It definitely makes you use all of the various things that you've picked up one way or another, the skills that you've acquired through playing the game, and I feel that that's how a good game should be. You get to a final mission, it should definitely exercise all of the skills that you've built up through playing.
Yeah, at some point we had a slightly different design, but somebody commented that it looked like a hamster.
Now I'm
I
curious.
can only see it as a hamster.
Okay, so I need one more kamikaze. This isn't going to be quite an optimal fight. Normally we get through that in 2 phases, but I couldn't get enough hits on the left side earlier.
Okay.
Since he does have these kind of weak points in numerous phases, there is kind of an optimal way that I want to take them out, but whether I'm able to or not depends a lot on what kind of drops I get from enemies, whether or not these squids get in the way so much, how much health and safety I need to take. Okay, so I'll wander over here. So he'll go through 2 different attack patterns during this cycle. One where he's doing the low laser nose. I don't exactly know how you want to work with that, but
That's fine.
one with this low, and then he'll go high on the next phase, and the targets are easier to hit, obviously, in these different phases. So I just killed his other weak point. Unfortunately, I'm a little out of cycle, and this squid just keeps on hitting me. Yeah, you do have to devote a lot of time between defense and offense here and choosing appropriately. He's got one more on the other side, so I'm just going to swap sides one more time. This is taking about 2 cycles longer than normal, but I'd much rather it be safe, because this has otherwise been a very good run. Come on. Oh, no, just barely. There it is.
Nice.
I
Final
want to be
phase.
on this side.
This boss is like an onion. It has layers and makes you cry.
A lot of times, kind of some of the more subtle movement is you want to be as close to where DLL spawns as possible so that you can trigger his dialogue sooner, and that makes up a matter of frames. Small stuff, but it adds up over time. Especially if it doesn't take very much effort to do, why not? So lava's on this side.
I didn't know you could safely stay on that platform. So it looks really dumb now.
Just, yeah.
It's bad.
Oh, he smashed me real good. Okay, I got a little too risky there, but it's all right.
I distracted you.
This isn't this is still a reasonable checkpoint, so we're all right. Lava? Lava, okay. I do need to check. The lava is somewhat fickle about what side it comes down on.
It actually depends on if the boss does a proper bump into the level geometry.
Okay.
If you stop it before that, it doesn't trigger the lava.
Okay.
And it didn't really work out. Like, if you don't know it, it's probably not as
And then
obvious as it should be.
there it goes. I do need to run to the other side, though, because that lava is still coming, and it will kill me. Okay, so get the power cell, and that's the last boss. We're not at time yet. We're not at time yet. There's just a little bit more. Where are you, DLL? There you go.
Are you playing on a Pro Controller, by the way? Or?
I am playing on the Pro Controller. I definitely, well, I would say that if you play this game, definitely play it with a controller. I think that some of the reason that a lot of people had trouble playing the original PC release is because they were trying to play with keyboard. And there are some finer points here that really benefit from having actual twin sticks than using arrow keys and mouse.
Yeah, it's the way we played most as well.
Let's see if I got that. I did. Okay, there's an audio cue I use there to make sure I wind up at just the right point. There's also a little bit of strange physics that you don't get to see very often. If you are hacking something, I'm gonna wait. There we go. If you are hacking something while in a bubble, you will like gain a ton of. Oh, all right. I'm trying to do. Oh, don't scratch my eye. I'm trying to pull some of these kamikazes over from a prior area, and that'll allow me to get through this section just that much faster. I don't think I actually made any of them come over. Okay, well, that's a little disappointing. That's fine. We'll do this the normal way. If you drag 2 kamikazes over from earlier on, you can get through this section a fair bit faster. And that was actually the very first trick that I found and made me excited to kind of see the other possibilities in this game.
Okay. In the final mission, you found your first trick.
Yep. And that's what lit the bug for me. All right. Last little bit. Whew. And that was the last meaningful input. Time will be during this final fireworks sequence. So as soon as that pops up the mission menu, hit time.
Incredible! We did it!
Yeah, we're somewhere in space, and we're in one piece.
Your recklessness really helped us this time.
And you were semi-helpful too.
Thank you, I guess.
All right, I'll do my celebrity fireworks jiggle now.
And time.
Nice.
All right, sub 2 minutes on the final, and mission time 120. That's very respectable. I can work with that for sure. So there you go. That's RIVE. There's just one last little bit before you end up going to credits, because we forgot about this whole time that I needed kerosene to power up my ship, and now I'm out. So now what?
It's kind of sad.
It is. It is.
Actually, if you go into the pause menu throughout the entire game, you know there is a gas indicator.
Yep, right in the lower left area there.
Yes, and it goes lower and lower and lower. And sometimes they talk about gas, but they just forget it.
Didn't you tell me we were running low?
So this will lead into the credits.
Having an emergency jerry can.
Really, it's a great game. I really enjoyed it, and it's the reason I keep playing it for long periods of time, just to improve individual ILs or work on my overall campaign time. And let's really thank you, Colin, thank you, Martin, and the rest of your team for doing a great job here. As I understand it, this was your last game?
Yeah, this is the last game that we made. We decided to stop making new games. So we basically put everything we could into RIVE. Spent a year longer than we anticipated. But it's nice. It's very nice to see you play through it and see you use all those tricks that we didn't even think about. It's very nice to see the game being played like this.
All
So
right.
thank you too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for Colin.
Thanks, guys and girls. I don't know. I cannot see you. I only see hats and.
There's all varieties here. This is the late night crowd too, so they might be especially zany, but they're doing all right.
So, what time is it now?
Here it is about 2:45 in the morning, something like that.
Oh wow, it's 11 in the morning here on Sunday.
Oh, so you've got the better end of the deal. I'm gonna just hit the pillow after this, but all right. Thank you so much, everybody. This was a really good run. I'm so happy that Colin was able to join us. Yeah, and that's RIVE. If you want to say anything else to close us out, go right ahead.
No, thanks for starting late because I actually slept a bit too late as well. So, but I'm glad I could see the entire thing. It's cool.
All right, wonderful. Thanks again, and there you go. That's RIVE. If you enjoyed it, pick it up. It's on Switch, on the Switch store. So, thank you. And I think we're all good to wrap up.
Okay. Okay. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, Colin.
Big shouts to Omnigamer there and Colin for entertaining us throughout the RIVE speedrun. Up next, guys, we're going to be jumping into Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a very short Kingdom Hearts speedrun by Violin Gamer on the critical difficulty. And then after that, it'll be Spyro the Dragon 120% by Chris LBC, and then Earthbound Photo % by Ultimois. We're going to be telling you guys about some other incentives. I would love to read off your donations as they come in. But before that, we'll be kicking over for a different segment. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Games Done Quick Express 2018. My name is Sent, and I'm here to tell you guys about all the awesome prizes that you guys have the possibility of winning if you donate to this great event. By the way, guys, keep in mind that all the donations you guys are sending to us do go to the TwitchCon Charity Plaza, which is a group of 10 absolutely amazing charities, including some charities we've been privileged to work with in the past, like Doctors Without Borders. And if you head over to GamesDoneQuick.com, you'll be able to find a short blurb and links to all 10 charities' websites. Highly encourage you guys check out that. Highly encourage you guys get some donations in. It's an absolutely amazing, amazing cause. But let's take a look at some of the prizes we have here. Now, you know, I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts speedruns, so I figure in honor of Kingdom Hearts speedrun coming up next, I'll do a little speedrun here of trying to show you guys all the prizes. Yo, Spike, you up there? All right, all right. I don't think anyone can hear Spike. That's fine. Don't worry about it. He's
Hello.
there.
Yes, you can probably hear me now. Yes.
All right, Spike. So I'm going to tell you about 10 cool things I have on this desk in under 5 minutes. Are you ready for that?
Dope. Let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
Woo!
Okay, so first off, before I get started, all the prizes I'm about to tell you guys about now are open from right now until the end of the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer a little later this morning. I think that's scheduled for about 8 a.m. or so. Make sure to tune in for that one, by the way. It's going to be super cool. All right, let's get started. So from our good friend Lee C, we have this beautiful Ampharos Perler. I love Ampharos. It's adorable. It's yellow. It's an electric type. All three of those things are good. What else do you need to know about it? Well, it's a $10 minimum donation from now till the end of Super Metroid. Link to the Past combo randomizer. Speaking of fun yellow electric Pokemon, we have this beautiful Zapdos Perler, also from our good friend Lee C. Again, $10 minimum donation. Make sure to get into the Zapdos. Watch out. It swoops. I love it. Speaking of birds, it's another bird. It's a plane. No, wait, it's actually a bird. This is a beautiful Skarmory Perler, again, from the lovely Lee C. Absolutely, just I love the job this guy does on all of his Perlers. Again, there are two kind of styles to Perler, either perfectly blended as best as possible or almost like see-through with a mesh-like quality. Lee is definitely a fan of the latter. His Perlers are beautiful in person. Unfortunately, I don't have a good light source behind me to show you, but this Skarmory, you can just look right through it. $15 minimum donation for now until the end of the combo randomizer. So from our good friend Kari Fry, we have a field guide to Kanto. It's got all of your favorite Gen 1 Pokemon as illustrated by our friend and fellow staff member Kari Fry. And hey, you know what? Let's just open it to a page while we're zoomed in on it. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got a map. All right, let's go map. What do we got there? Oh, we got a Magikarp and Gyarados. That's cool, Gyarados. I like that Gyarados.
That is dope. I like that one.
I agree. How do you like Gyarados? Where do you rank Gyarados on your water Pokemon list, Spike? 30 seconds, go.
Number 1.
All right, there we go. Good answer.
Bam!
And like all of Kari's books, it has a dust jacket that just doesn't want to come off. But hey, when it does, it turns into this absolutely beautiful poster of all the original and the only 151 Pokemon. Hot take right there. Let's see, what else we got here? From our good friends over at Fangamer, we have the Earthbound Handbook. The Earthbound Handbook, it's got everything you need to know about traveling the world of Earthbound inside it, everything you want to know about the places, characters, and enemies of Earthbound. $15 minimum donation, actually, between now and the end of Super Metroid, Link to the Past Combo Randomizer. Super cool book right here. Speaking of super cool books, we have the wonderful Legends of Localization book with accompanying passport from Legends of Localization team and Fangamer. This thing is super cool, written by Clyde Mado Mandolin. It just goes into all of the amazing details of the tale of getting Earthbound or Mother 2 localized. And this game went through some crazy revisions, has a ton of content that is just altered in the slightest way that you might not know about, even if you've played both games, much less if you speak and understand Japanese. Super cool read, highly recommend it. $15 minimum donation between now and the end of that combo randomizer. Let's see what else we got. Oh, from our friends over at Something Artistic, we have these beautiful Kingdom Hearts themed decals. I love Kingdom Hearts. I love these decals. We got all the Kingdom Hearts classics. We got, of course, the Kingdom Hearts logo right here. It's a very important one. Let's see what else resonates with Kingdom Hearts, Spike. What do you think when you think Kingdom Hearts?
Keyblades.
All right, well, close. How about Vivi?
Oh, Vivi.
Yeah, Vivi,
absolutely.
right? Yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts in your mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, how about Tonberry? Do you think Tonberry very much?
No doubt.
All right, good. I'm glad we're on the Kingdom Hearts page. So I have the most iconic Kingdom Hearts character of all for you coming up next. It is, of course,
Sora.
Cloud Strife.
Cloud.
Yeah. Main character
Nailed
of the Kingdom Hearts series, I think. I don't know. The timeline's really confusing. It's hard to explain.
We have played different games.
We're just going to roll with it. Guys, $15 minimum donation to get all of those wonderful decals all together. Speaking of great decals from our friends over at Something Artistic, we have some Pokemon-themed decals here. This is Donkey Kong. He's not a Pokemon. I don't know why he's in this stack of decals. We're just going to put him over there. None of these are Pokemon, actually. That was Samus. There was a Bowser. Pokemon's gotten weird since I played that game, man. I don't know what they're doing. Taking it in a different direction. But anyway.
Gen 8. They just start making Smash characters.
Watch out for the Falcon knee, man. It's got stab bonus right now. But anyway, yeah, we got all kinds of Pokemon decals. We got a Pikachu. We got some Ninetales. Love Ninetales. Probably one of my favorite Pokemon, and as well as pre-evolution Vulpix.
Oh, that was adorable.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got a red Gyarados. We got a red Arcanine. And my personal favorite, we got the Squirtle Squad representing right there.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, super cool decals. $10 minimum donation from now until the end of that combo randomizer. Let's see what else we can pull up here. Yep, we got Spectrum of Mana, which is a Secret of Mana cover album OST rendition. Super cool, still in its shrink wrap. It's pretty hard to get physical copies of these, I think. I think they stopped printing them a year or two ago. Again, it's just something a friend gifted it to me a couple of years ago, and I found it in a drawer. So I figured, you know what? Someone's got to have a better home for this guy, and I'd love to see it happen. $10 minimum donation from now until the end of that combo randomizer. Let's see what else we got up on this desk that I can talk about. Yeah. So, Spike, I know earlier we talked about the Super Nintendo Classic, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we weren't sure about it, but you know what? I got something better for you. I got the Super Famicom Classic.
Ooh.
It's like the Super Nintendo Classic, but also in Japanese.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but you know what? It's got some great games on it, too, because it's got Star Fox 2. It's got Kirby Superstar. It's got some game in Japanese that I can't read. It's got Goemon's Great Adventure. I like that one. It's got Street Fighter 2 on it. Street Fighter 2, super cool game. And yeah, I think it has Mega Man X in there, but again, I can't really read the Japanese on here. But it looks like Mega Man X.
We can confirm up to 6 of the 20 games you will be getting with that.
Look, I can count at least 20 things on this box and read maybe 10 of them. But anyway, super cool plug-and-play console. It comes with the Super Famicom-style controllers. I know a lot of speedrunners actually prefer those to the Super Nintendo ones for those convex buttons. Also, I personally just think they look way cooler. Comes to us by way of Zeppelin 03 and Wellisaur. $15 minimum donation between now and the combo randomizer. Make sure to get in on it. And we'll just set it to the side real quick. And hey, last but not least, we have this beautiful crocheted shiny Rowlet. Again, I love this Rowlet. Super adorable. One of the few Gen 7 Pokemon I'm actually fairly well aware of. It's got a little cute little crocheted flower crown on top of it. And again, it's a little hard to tell at this distance, but this entire thing is just a ball of yarn that someone's kind of shaped into a Rowlet. It's super cool. Huge shout-outs to Morbid Knits for crafting it for us, and it is a $20 minimum donation between now and the end of the combo randomizer. All right, Spike, how well did you think I do it on time?
I think you nailed it.
I did not nail it. I went about 3 minutes over there.
I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to be rude.
Look, I mean, it happens. Sometimes you just go a little bit overestimate. Nothing to worry about. All right, I'm getting confirmation from tech that took 656. So you know what? Not terrible. Anyway, guys, make sure to head over to gamesdonequick.com. Check out the TwitchCon Charity Plaza. Lots of just wonderful, wonderful charities involved in there. And your donations are going straight to support them. While you're there, head over to the tracker. You're going to find all the information you need about upcoming prizes, upcoming speedruns, upcoming incentives, and the amounts we need to hit them. And in fact, speaking of incentives, I believe we're only like $3,000 or $4,000 away from the one key Super Mario 64 TAS run. And I mean, I'm sure everyone here has seen a 16-star run. Maybe you've seen a 1-star run, maybe even a 0-star run. But we're going to see a 1-key run. They are just not going to get one of the keys in the game, and that is mind-blowing to me. I'm not entirely sure how you skip it. Get that donation, or get that incentive donated for, because I want to know how it happens. But for now, I'm going to throw it back up to my good friend Spike Vegeta as we get ready for Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep.
Woo! Yo, thank you, Cent. I thought you made pretty good. I thought the splits were green there. I thought it was all good. But yeah, guys, like he said, we're going to be kicking it up to the front here for a Violin Gamer to be taking us through Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep. And again, that is going to be on the highest difficulty, the critical difficulty.